Hi guys, it's Christmas Eve, and I watched The Muppet Christmas Carol with both of my kids. One of them who is supposed to be taking a nap right now. That's not happening. I need this to happen. I need him to be sleeping right now.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa-la-la.
Muppet Christmas Carol. Just famous Charles Dickens story about a grumpy old man, and then he gets visited by three ghosts and learns to love and learns to spread joy, and you know the story. This is where I know the story from. I've never read the original book. I've never seen any other adaptations of it, although there was I think it was on Broadway. Patrick Stewart did a one-man show of A Christmas Carol, and I would have killed to see that. But this is the only adaptation of A Christmas Carol that's just burned into my head.
Yindish hurdy hurdy bursky.
I see myself in the camera this time. I think I'm going to really lean back like this. This is so comfortable right now, but I know I look like a slob, dude. I'm part of the generation that sort of grew up watching it. It came out in 1992. I had the original VHS, The Muppets. I'm a big fan of The Muppets. Let me go to my Letterboxd account, because I have a Letterboxd account, you guys. You should follow me on there, because I have some spicy takes on today's cinema, and you really can't live without it. People need to know what I think about movies. People need to know. You need to know. I have important things to say about things. I'm not insignificant. I am not a speck of dust in an endless universe. I am not afraid of death. That's what this all is, right? I'm just trying not to think about my mortality. I'm trying to live forever through YouTube videos. It's got to be subconsciously what I'm doing. Anyway, so I'm going to my dibbity-dibbity-doo Letterboxd Top 100, which I think I need to rearrange. But as of right now, the Muppet movie sits at number 24 on my list. So I'm a big Muppet fan. That's my favorite Muppet movie. Christmas Carol is close second.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa-la-la.
I know that this is kind of a little meme thing that's sort of gone around this year, the year before last, and it's like Michael Kane treated it as serious as the Royal Shakespeare Company, and it's what everyone talks about. This is sort of a second wave of interest in this cult following of Muppet Christmas Carol. But that is something I do appreciate, because I watched this movie and I really started crying. I started weeping. People who use the word weep unironically is that's kind of funny to me, to use it seriously. I remember reading an article about how Timothy Chalamet watched Interstellar, and he realized as he was watching it that his role was significantly cut as Matthew McConaughey's character's son. And he said that, this was one of his first big movies. He had done a lot of indie stuff before then. And he said when he watched it and realized how much of his role had been cut, he wept. I read an article about it. Maybe he was using it unironically, but he strikes me as a guy who doesn't quite know how to... Irony goes over his head, maybe. I don't know. Is it just me, or are people getting, tired of Timothy Chalamet? I'm getting sidetracked here. Okay, Michael Caine.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous.
So yeah, Michael Caine said, I'm going to try a Michael Caine impersonation. Well, I'm Michael Caine. I'm Michael Caine. Now I'm just thinking of that scene from The Trip.
I've not heard your Michael Caine, but I assume it would be something along the lines of, my name's Michael Caine.
That is where you are so wrong. And you can look at my live video for proof, because that's the very thing I don't do.
I'm just going to sort of do a Cockney accent here. So he said, I'm going to play this movie like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as if it is an utterly dramatic role and there are no puppets around me. I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do as as the human being in any Muppet movie or Muppet sketch. Like, that was kind of the cool thing about the Muppets. Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, where it's like, you get all these cameos from great actors, and there's nobody bats an eye at the fact that they're talking to a pig.
Phone call for Kermit the Frog. You Kermit the Frog? Yeah. Phone.
But yeah, he takes it so seriously. There are several moments where there's a shot where it stays on his face. So it's a scene where Ebenezer Scrooge, he's being visited by the ghost of Christmas Present, and he goes to Bob Cratchit's house, and he sees Bob Cratchit, Kermit, with Piggy, and their kids, and they're somehow not all hybrid frog-pig abominations. They're all just either frogs or pigs. But then there's Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim's coughing, and he sings his little song, and it stays on Michael Caine's face for at least a good 5 seconds.
Bless us one and all. Bless us all with playful years, with noisy gears.
God, he's so good at manifesting emotion. It's like, if you can do that in the audition room, that's one of the hardest things to do. Where you go into an audition and it's like, it's a period piece, and you're supposed to create the magic yourself and out of nothing. Like, that's a whole other skill involved. And Michael Caine, man, you just really feel it. He does a fantastic job. Props to Michael Caine. Especially, there are certain things that you know he's a professional when he's able to do certain things and not laugh and create a moment of real emotion out of something that's kind of ridiculous. There's this one moment, and I swear it's so heartwarming, but it's kind of ridiculous, where he's changed. At the end of the movie, he's going around and saying, "Merry Christmas, everyone," and he goes up to Honeydew and Beaker, who they asked him for a donation earlier, and he yelled at him, so he offers a large donation.
Oh my goodness, I don't know what to say. I just wish there was something we could give you.
And Beaker, with his Beaker face, he just gives him his scarf.
A gift for me? Thank you.
It all comes from a place of, no one's ever given me something like this. This really means something. And to take it from like what Beaker looks like, to be looking that goddamn puppet in the eye and take that scarf and have that beautiful moment.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa la la.
I love the music. Paul Williams. For those of you who don't know who Paul Williams, I barely know who Paul Williams is. I haven't done a lot of research on this, by the way.
Showtime! Showtime at the El Suizo!
Paul Williams is a songwriter. Was really popular in the 70s and 80s, and he was nominated for an Academy Award for writing The Rainbow Connection in the original Muppet movie. He did songs for the original Muppet movie. He wrote other songs like there's even the song "Just an Old-Fashioned Love Song Playing on the Radio," and he even sang that on the Muppet Show and did a whole cover of it.
That's just an old-fashioned love song, humming down in two-part harmony.
But no, I love the music in this. Now I'm just stuck on Paul Williams because there's a song in the original Muppet movie that I love even more than the Rainbow Connection, and it's called "I'm Going to Go Back There Someday."
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa la la.
Gonzo sings it, and this is like sort of the what do you call it in the story structure? It's the all is lost moment. They're all the Muppets have met for the first time, a few days prior, and they're on their road trip, and they're all camping out. All is lost. They're not going to get to Hollywood, and Gonzo sings this amazing song.
Close to my soul, and yet so far away. I'm going to go back there someday.
It's all just played very straight, and it's one of the most beautifully written songs of all time. I just want to read some of the lyrics. I go back and I listen to this song sometimes, and I'm blown away by... So, there's something that this song does really well, and it plays on the idea of meeting someone, whether it be one person or a group of people, who you have a feeling about, and you feel like maybe you've known them your whole life, and you just think, yeah, we're gonna be friends. You know, there's my wife had that feeling when she met me. So oddly enough, I didn't, the other way around. But when she met me, she's like, yeah, we're gonna be married. That sounds a little she kept that to herself, by the way. She didn't just tell me we're gonna be married. But she had that feeling with me, and there's it's like the song starts off, this looks familiar, vaguely familiar, almost unreal, yet it's too soon to feel, yet close to my soul, and yet so far away, I'm going to go back there someday. It's almost like you are destined to reach a point in your life in the future. And if you're looking at it from a bird's eye view and you look at time as just this, you can be in the fifth dimension and look at your life in a timeline. You've already been there. You're going to get back there someday. Kind of like whenever I feel like I have deja vu, it comforts me because I'm like, oh, I'm on the right track. Does that make sense? I know I'm getting real weird with this, but I'm trying to... I haven't really... Even though I've explored this song a lot, I haven't really sat down with it and thought about it enough, so I'm kind of talking it out. Sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. I'm not familiar with this future, but I know how to get there. And this kills me. This is there's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. Man, it's like I don't know if this is subconsciously hitting something that is tangible and makes sense in my heart, or if the lyrics are just esoteric enough that it sounds like something that means something, and I'm going someplace in my head. I don't know, but there are parts of it that are... There's not a word yet for old friends who've just met. And then, if you're lucky, you experience that a few times in your life. You know, I've experienced it a few times, you know, with my wife and with some friends. And then if you're unlucky, one of those friends... if you're unlucky, one of those friends stops talking to you over something really stupid. And then he was going to be the best man at your wedding, but then your wedding comes and you don't have a best man. And then you try and reach out to him years later, but he doesn't respond, and then he becomes a radical religious nut who believes that gay people should be executed. Yeah, if you're unlucky, that'll happen. Well, I'm kind of getting into the weeds here. Getting a little weedsy. Why talking about the Muppet Christmas Carol has derailed.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa la la.
There's something that I went to I went to a religious school. It was a Lutheran school for like 6th through 12th grade. Thanks to several religious classes. I'm not very religious anymore, by the way. Not that I don't have anything against religion, but I think I'm raising my kids with like the best parts of Christianity, but I'm not telling them what to believe by any means. Anyway, thanks to several religion classes, it's just beat into my head now that there's a war on Christmas. And I know that there's not. We would hear this all the time from our teachers, where there was this spiritual war that we're not seeing, and it's against Christmas. It's the devil working his way, worming his way into society and taking the Christ out of Christmas. Like when you see Xmas, well, that's just the way God works in mysterious ways. The devil's working in mysterious ways, and now we don't see Christ in the Word, the literal Word. And if you look everywhere, there's this secular version of Christmas. You look at it in the media, and Christ is removed from all of these Christmas movies that, they're just trying to... So now Christmas, instead of it being about Christ, it's about love. Look, all of this is... I was trained to think like this when I went to these religion classes, and even though I look back and I hate thinking like that, and I think it's all bullshit, there's a muscle in my brain. So I'm watching Muppet Christmas Carol, and there's just this little voice in the back of my head like, where's Jesus? I don't see him. Oh, this is all just about love, loving one another? Well, it's not what Christmas is all about. Where's Christ? Where's Jesus? Where's my little baby? Oddly enough, there was one thing that popped up. It's for something that I don't want to think like that, because it makes me angry at myself that those thoughts come up.
'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa la la.
And then it makes me think about these religion teachers saying that gay people were invading our society, and it was a weird school. No, it wasn't a weird school. Actually, I made lifelong friends there. I still have friends from there, and I just went back there. Oddly enough, I went back. I was invited as an alumni to receive an award, and they receive an award for my accomplishments in acting. I thought that was kind of cool, but I went up and I'm accepting an award, and I'm standing next to some special ops Marine who has done the craziest shit that I'll never... what did I do? I made videos in my mom's basement, and then I went to LA and got a few jobs and became unemployed and played video games. And got depressed. Anyway. Oh, but that was cool. But it was it's an odd school, You grow up going to a school like that, and you think things are normal. And I can't even remember what I thought, for example, just about gay people. I think I was just kind of, I went along with everything, but, didn't feel right. I remember one time we were talking in a religion class about being gay, and are you born gay or not? And I raised my hand and I asked something like, how do you know if you're, is there a test that they can do? I'm 16 at the time. I'm like, maybe it's like a genetic thing and it's in your DNA. And I remember the religion teacher getting mad at me, like, how dare you try and question what doctors have done and what God dictates? And there were a couple kids that were in the class below us that I was certain both of them were gay, and but either they didn't know, or they knew and they were hiding it, or they, subconsciously. And it was, looking back, I feel really bad for them. Anyway, what were we talking about? The Muppet Christmas
Carol. 'Tis the season to be jolly and joyous. Fa la la.
All right, whatever. Muppet Christmas Carol's great, but let me just tell you one story before we close this out.
'Tis the season.
I have a friend of mine who is very soft-spoken. Let's call him Dave. Grew up in kind of a rough household, one of those houses where you become the man of the house very quickly. And he was very impressionable. Very, you could easily take advantage of him. As my friends and I would feel very protective of him, and we loved him. We still do. And he had a version of a psychotic break when he was about 19 or 20, and just all of a sudden, you just get hit with a shitty lottery of genetics. You're like, oh, by the way, you turned 20. Oh, you have schizophrenia. Have fun. Have fun with that lithium. So, anyway, just like the sweetest guy. And he and a few of my other friends, we had a teacher. And let's call him, because he resembled Milton from Office Space, let's call him Mr. Milton. And Mr. Milton was a really cool teacher. Had him for several classes, and he was one of those teachers that became more of a mentor than, just a teacher. Mentor and a friend. Remember last day of class, he's like, we should all go to Six Flags together. This is like the last day of senior year. And we're all looking at each other like, all right, I mean, he's nice, but we're not going to hang out with Mr. Milton. It's like, but hey, whatever. It's nice. So, at some point after we graduate, probably a couple years after we graduate, I think this was maybe before my friend Dave was suddenly bombarded with schizoaffective disorder. Mr. Milton gives him a call and says that he's writing a book. He goes, I'm writing a book, and it's a fiction book, and I'm basing the main character off of you, and I was wondering if you could come over and we could just brainstorm and talk about it. This is from what I remember Dave telling me about this. And he goes, for your time, I'll give you $20, and you just come on over and we'll talk about it. And Dave says, sure. Goes over, and they presumably in the living room or something, they're sitting down and they brainstorm about this book idea, and they talk for a certain amount of time, and Mr. Milton gives him $20, and Dave says thank you, and he's on his way. Mr. Milton calls him a second time and says, hey Dave, I was wondering if you could come by and we could talk about the book some more. I'll give you another $20. And he gets there, and this time they're going to go out into the woods, and Mr. Milton has a camera. And he says, all right, I'm just going to take I want some for inspiration. He goes, I'm going to take some pictures. Just pretend, your character, the character is kind of a gladiator. He's kind of a warrior. I'm laughing about it because it's so... so just pretend like, let me get a picture of you. And it's also kind of a Christ-like figure. So just go up against that tree and just kind of pose like Christ on the cross, And they took no other really way to say this. Mr. Milton took pictures of my friend Dave in the woods for $20. Gave him $20, went on his way, calls him a third time. This time they're out in the woods, camera, asks him to take his shirt off, takes pictures of him with his shirt off in different poses, takes a stick. Mr. Milton finds a stick. And he goes, right, there's a... Jesus Christ. Takes a stick. And, as I'm telling this, I'm trying not to laugh, and I'm also thinking about what it is going to look like if I'm laughing about something like this. But you have to understand, that Dave telling us this story years ago, the way he described it, it was so bizarre. Like, we would never have thought of anything like this. And your first instinct at something horrific is to laugh. So this is my first instinct to do it, is to laugh at this. So Mr. Milton picks up a stick and he goes, there's a moment where he's fighting, he's a gladiator, and I want to get just a natural reaction from you. I'm going to poke you with this stick, and you just make a noise that you would normally make if you were pretend it's a sword, and you're getting hit with the sword, and make whatever noise that you would make. And Dave is telling us this part of the story, and I at that point I tell him, stop. I need to understand this. I'll be Mr. Milton. I have the stick. You make the noise. And so I pretended to poke him, and Dave's like, I can't do this. I can't. It's too weird. I was like, it's okay. So that happened. Gave him $20, at which point Dave no longer feels comfortable around Mr. Milton, calls him either later that day or the next day, and says, hey, if don't ever talk to me again. I don't want to be around you, and we're done. And to which point Mr. Milton replies, please don't tell anybody because I could get into a lot of trouble. If that's not like... In what universe... Look, it's either one of two things. One, Mr. Milton is so naive that he didn't see anything wrong with what he was doing, and he was literally just looking for inspiration from his muse for his, Gladiator sequel. Or he knew what he was doing. And when you say something like, I can get into a lot of trouble, that tells me that you knew what you were doing was weird.
I could set the building on fire.
Just trying to get a reaction out of him by poking him with a stick. It's literally the scene from Extras where Johnny Depp is trying to get inspiration because Johnny Depp's going to play like Rumpelstiltskin. He's going to play a dwarf, and he's talking with Warwick Davis. He's like, okay, if you were to get struck by lightning, bang, what would happen?
Just you and me.
Yep.
We're standing here, talking. Bang, 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 bang. Bam! Ah! No, a bolt of lightning's gonna knock you down.
Okay.
Bam! Ah! Oh! Stand up. Fucking stand up. That's great.
Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video about what ended up being tangentially about the Muppet Christmas Carol, and mainly about my friend who was on a highway to getting molested. Oh my god. I don't even know if I'm going to put this video up. Well, look, I'll put this up. So yeah, I think I'm just not going to worry about these tangents. I'm just going to go with it. So let me know if there are any other movies you want me to talk about. And I might talk about them, or it might turn into something completely different. Alright. Merry Christmas. By the time you guys see this, it'll be 2024. If I was a kind of a business-minded, organized person, I would have done this weeks ago and tried to rack up views for before Christmas. But yeah, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants with this anyway. I don't give a shit. Bye. Merry Christmas.